of mistake. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. We've never made this kind of mistake. What does that mean? Who knows what that means? We're just here. We're winging it. And well, there is some winged cars behind me, but they're not winged. They are non-winged, but they're not non-winged, but they are winged. But regardless, really good scene behind me. What's going on? We are here today, ladies and gentlemen. And my, oh my. Yesterday, probably spent 9-10 hours on the phone, you know. Unfortunately, it wasn't about Kenny Wallace, as I guess that seems to be the case. Today's phone, yesterday was completely different subjects, but today, you know, on the phone for, what did you do? What when did you say? Where is this at? What's he talking about? Who's this guy that set you down? I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Obviously. You go in there and you look into it, and it's like, oh, well, the bait has been bitten, you know. Maybe that's the mistake here. I do have some things to address, but maybe I shouldn't. Is that what's happening? I'm not sure. What's the rule of law in this scenario? Obviously, we had our live video from the other day at Kokomo. We put out our video today that we're going to somewhat get into, and then maybe we should open the lines up just a little bit. It is 10 Eastern Standard Time right now, obviously 9 Central. We're still early on the West Coast, and maybe that's what I forgot to bring up. There is something happening on the West Coast that is very important. I should have thought about this. This is what's going on. Is anybody else having a little bit of some issues with Facebook today? It is acting a little weird for some reason. Let's see here. Yeah, there was this situation that I wanted to talk about. We'll probably lead off with this. Let's see here. Can we get it up? This right here. Yes, there is this situation we wanted to lead off with. And this is, for those who don't know it, this is Caleb Montgomery. And there was an issue apparently on the West Coast. I'll let y'all kind of figure it out. Caleb Montgomery, really good West Coast sprint car driver, or anything he can get into. That's how it is on the West Coast. You can't say no, you got to say yes. And this is a video titled very simply, this video right now, last time I looked, it was at 20,000. That was yesterday. I can only imagine. It's got 134 shares, 300 plus likes, 70 comments. We're going to get into those just a little bit. But Dirt Vision, obviously the title of the video, but this kind of, you know, slides into that category of the future of streaming and what it's going to look like meeting guys like Cali Dirt Videos. I'm going to play this real quick so everybody can kind of get an idea. I do believe Caleb also has a Facebook page or a YouTube channel. He obviously has a Facebook page. I believe he also has a YouTube channel, so search that up, look that up. But Cali Dirt Videos also, if those on the West Coast, y'all know all about Cali Dirt Videos. If you don't, look it up. It's pretty good stuff, for sure. Drones, GoPros, full race replays, and that's kind of what this is about, heads-upping against the full race replay. So here's what's the situation that Caleb's bringing up right here.
Content, showboat, you know, we're not going to be doing a GoPro. We're not going to be talking about cars on track. We're talking about you, Sean. I stand with Sean, and I think this video needs to be made. I truly appreciate and value everything that Sean does for this sport, and I think your passion and your love for California sprint car racing shines through in your videos. I truly believe what you're doing for us gains us more exposure, more views, more content. It only brings more eyes to what we're doing on the West Coast, and I truly value and love everything you do for us. As many of you may not know, Sean is not allowed to go to a couple racetracks now because of reasons that I don't even fully understand. I have some sides of the story. I have Sean's side, I have other sides, I have promoter sides, but more than that, I think where he's now hindered and not allowed to go forward is he can't be doing full race replays, and I think that's going to hurt us more than it helps us, truly, because if you're watching a stream, all you see is the guys in the front, and you don't see the full action. You don't see the people who are in the back. You don't really see all that, and Sean captures the whole thing. He puts GoPros on our cars. He's out there just doing what he loves, and he's passionate about it. And it's truly amazing how far he's grown and how much he's conquered in just a short amount of time on YouTube. It's crazy. And now he can't do that. He's allowed to still do pit walks. He's still allowed to put GoPros on cars. He's allowed to be no different than I or Tanner on YouTube. But he's not allowed to do what he loves, which is the full race replays. And I stand with him on the full race replays because I truly think they gain us more exposure, more light. And let's say if I'm scrolling on YouTube, I don't really know what's going on. I mean, because granted, I feel like the people that are watching us out on the West Coast are our moms, our grandpas, maybe a couple fans here and there that can't go that given weekend. Like, at the end of the day, what makes promoters money, I feel like, is people going to the races. It's not these streaming services. And I feel like Sean exposes more of that, because you may get a clip of someone in the back doing a sick wheelie, or because Sean videos the whole thing. He pans the camera. He started from nothing. He started with an iPhone. He came to the track just because he loves it. He was a fan. I don't know if you guys know this, but the guy has Trophy Cup 1, 2, and 3 t-shirts. He loves sprint car racing, and he carried that love into the pits. And now he shows a little bit more of behind the scenes or the full picture. He may not gather all of it, but, you know, on the race replays, he's showing the cool guy in 15th doing the wheelie, smacking the tank, and then flipping his balls off. Like, he's capturing all of that. And I think you'll have people on YouTube who are just scrolling like the rest of us do. We're all addicted to our phones. We're all addicted to watching YouTube videos. If you don't, you're fibbing. Some guy, he gets 10,000 views on just a YouTube video, who those people weren't going to watch the live stream, but they might. Even if you gain 10 people this week from Sean's 10,000 views, what if you get 10 more subscriptions, or you get 10 more people to come to the racetrack? Just that 10. And it's not more than just building then those 10 only come. Like, no, what if 10 more come next time? Or Sean gets that cool clip of Cole smoking Mariah Eid and doing a 360 and keep on going, dude. That got 220,000 views in a couple days. People don't see that on the live stream. They see wherever the camera's pointed at. There's one camera, maybe two cameras. You can only capture so much. But Sean has GoPros on at least 6 of our cars. He's always standing off in the corner. He's got a different perspective. He's got a unique perspective, and he just sees it all. And I truly think he's not trying to hinder a streaming service or anything. He's just doing what he's passionate about, and his love really shines through the sport. And Sean, I really think you should be able to do your full race replays. I really value what you put into other sport, and the time, and the dedication, and the passion. And I think that passion and that love for our sport will only rise. As the wise man once said, rising tide only picks up all boats. Just because one guy's doing better, your boat's not going to randomly gain a hole in it, and you're not going to sink, and one guy's going to go to the top. It's kind of like me with Sean doing the pit walks. I do the pit walks because I like talking to people. I like getting people's opinions on things. I like talking. I'm a super chat, as my sister says. I could talk to a fence post. I don't go to Sean and say, like, oh, well, I want clips from.
I think pretty much everybody can kind of get the gist of what's happening here. This guy named Sean, who runs Cali Dirt videos, can't do full race replays, and it sounds like streaming services are the ones that are requesting him not to do that. Now, there's a lot of people in here agreeing. There's a lot of people blaming Speed Sport. Speed Sport in itself is kind of a not necessarily got the best fanfare over there on the West Coast, just because of how they do some stuff. I've heard from other streaming services they've had issues with them as well. It's a very weird situation. All I could really say is, like, you have a scenario here where I was having this conversation the other day. You know, the people going to YouTube and watching stuff, it's probably like one of the only few things of exposure of the sport that we got. You know, we saw that video the other day of that dude reacting to the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series, first time fan ever. That was in our last video, and he was just blown away. But where did he see that video? He saw it on YouTube. You know, that's where he got to even interact with the sport at all, period. We've also talked about how streaming services kind of feed, and this is why, you know, we get back to kind of the argument here of what is, tracks blaming streaming for low fan or people there at the track. And I've always sat here and said, I said, well, streaming's kind of feeding off of your, back to businesses. It's supposed to be 80% rotational fans, 20% diehards, whether that's a restaurant. You got 20% of the people who go there every week, and then you got 80% of the people who go there a couple times a year. The rotational audience. And streaming, so the 20% of all of our fans is diehard fans. Those are the ones that are going to pay Flow. Those are the ones who are going to pay Dirt Vision. And it's up to the track, technically, to attract new fans, to go after the 80%, because the 20% is already going to be there. I do think track series organizations have kind of worried about the people in the pitting area more so than the situation in the grandstands as far as trying to attract with increased purses and all this stuff. Obviously, I mean, fans like to see winning numbers and how much something is to win, but that's more so for the back gate of the situation, it feels like. More so satisfying the egos of who wants to be paid more. But, I've always kind of said, tracks blaming streaming for low car attendance, or those promoters in particular, are lazy. They don't want to go out there and promote and get that 80% to the racetrack, the new fan. But I've also said here, and this is a very, rotational conversation that I continue to have. I'm like, if Flow and Dirt Vision and all these people of streaming want to sit back and say, well, don't blame us, we're helping the sport, they could sit back and, like I've been saying, go to Buffalo Wild Wings, go to these big chain operations like a Flow, offer a television dedicated to your app, Flow, for, they have every kind of sport there is. But on a Saturday, Friday night situation, that screen's dedicated to the high limit race, or Monday or Tuesday or whatever is dedicated to the Flow Racing featured event, whether that's Flow Racing Night in America or whatever. And that's how you can get this sport in a screen form, in a streaming form, to new people. And that would promote people to come to the tracks. It would also help promote their brand, which would be Flow. It would be plastered on all these televisions and their deals that they could strike in a restaurant chain situation. And it would also maybe promote them to actually acquire a fan in the app department as well. Now, this is all grand and gravy, but what I'm talking about, ideas and things like that, promoting to the new fan. Obviously, we just referenced how the new guy noticed on YouTube reacts to World of Outlaws. He found it there. Obviously, YouTube videos, most YouTube videos, if the channel has 1,000 subscribers or more, they are making money on views. Now, when we're talking about money on views, it is not a lot. I mean, you have to get a significant amount of views to really pay off. Monthly, you're, I think, averaging here on the Chaz maybe like $800, $600. Last year, or last couple of months since I've been running and going, it's like $200, $300, $400, $500, maybe something like that. It's not a real big money maker, but it's something. It is something. And Cali Dirt Video, and I think this is where streaming and all the and really this comes down to the California situation. Cali Dirt is technically the issue here at hand. I think that everyone on the West Coast is scrounging for every penny that they can find, especially in this sports situation. It's recreational activity. It's a situation where they're trying to act like PA, where they have this, they do have really good race teams, really good race cars, paying well for some of the events, paying decent over there on a regional basis. NARC, they have their little touring series, SCCT, little touring series. They pay decently, over there. They have a decent amount of cars. But the problem is, the one thing that California lacks behind, for instance, like Pennsylvania, where the economics is probably the closest, or even in Knoxville on a weekly basis, which that's kind of supplemented through, kind of like Port Royal, supplemented through the local governmental bodies, politics. California lacks the fans. They have some very hardcore fans on the West Coast, but overall, I mean, they can have some good nights. I mean, Peter Murphy really promotes very hard at his tracks. A bunch of different guys try to get it out there a little bit in certain areas, but they just don't have the fans like more saturated areas like Pennsylvania, for instance, or even Ohio, or some of these other areas where people flock to the racetrack when there's a race going on. And it's a lot of quarter miles over there. So the grandstands are not as big, so therefore the profiteering is not as big. You can only hold so many people. So even if you're selling out, it's only a certain amount of people. Placerville's a very small grandstand. So I think we're seeing a situation here where the West Coast streaming companies I'm sure the streaming companies, we're going to talk about this. This is basically going to be a big part of the video, Dirt Vision, obviously. A big part of that track streaming relationship over there, because everybody's trying to grab every penny that they can, is literally every penny that you can get. So whether that's Speed Sport having, the streaming rights to the event, or whatever streaming company having the streaming rights to the event, and additionally, the A-Main highlight videos on Facebook, all the YouTube, all the social media platforms, not just YouTube, but Facebook and everywhere, for A-Main, full race replays, and a lot of people understand that. Back to the back gate of the scenario, because there's probably more people in the back gate sometimes at these California races than there are on the front. And most of the time in a logical economical situation, we're worried about the front gate paying to be there to watch it on streaming to view the race. But sometimes, or in a situation, an economical situation where you have more people in the pitting area than you do in the grandstands, which sometimes I would guess is the case in California, a lot of the people wanting to rewatch the race are the drivers. A lot of people wanting to rewatch the race are maybe the people who were, just on the ground in the pitting area or helping on the crew or something like that. All these people want to watch the race. And I think some of these streaming companies recognize the value in full race replays. You go to Flow right now and you can watch full all-night replays. But if you could just go to YouTube without having to have that Flow membership and watch a full race replay on Cali Dirt, that could potentially threaten, who knows, $150 a year or one night or whatever streaming company is controlling it. But since the situation is so dire over there in the profiteering department, I think that's why it's becoming so strict in that region. I think that's why this Cali Dirt is being restricted. And honestly, full race replays, that is a lot. Obviously, you could still do the GoPros, the walkarounds, all this stuff, all this highlight-ish things. You could probably even do feature a main highlight video, but it sounds like there's something with this full race replay. And I think the streaming companies see it as like, well, people probably want to watch the race all the way as if they were there. Or is it from another angle? And I'm sure there's some additions to this guy filming it in the way he does. I have seen him use a drone before. I hear that that's a bigger issue. I don't know if the licensing or whatever was going on there. Because, once again, anybody who has a drone, if you don't have a license, you technically can't shoot anything and profiteer from it at all. And that's the bigger difference between licensed droned and non-licensed droned. Obviously, insurance purposes too, because say the drone, you're at a racetrack, it's however feet in the air, and it has a malfunction, it falls down and crashes into somebody's head. If you're unlicensed, that is a huge, huge offense. I mean, first of all, it's a huge, huge offense to just get that close to a populated area, especially at an event. So that's the case. That's the case. Everything's okay in gravy. I ain't heard nothing about that. But there are some certain things that this guy does that the track hasn't been doing. But at the same time, once again, I think the hardcore issue here is the lack of the fan base, lack of proper economics in how the West Coast operates, because they're trying to act big because it's West Coast. They're the Hotel Californication. We got to have big races and big events and pay decently and all this stuff. So there's a lot of money still being put out over there, but the economics of the situation, for track promoters especially, have to be pretty difficult when you look at some of the front gates at these California racing events and looking in the grandstands. It ain't PA. It ain't Port Royal. It ain't, Knoxville on a Saturday night. I mean, their grandstands is 15 times the size of Placerville or Merced. So Knoxville can look empty and they got a full house compared to a little short track like that. So I'm just saying, I think that this is people, once again, obviously it's all going back to greed. That's pretty much what it always is going to be about. Oh, so you're telling me it's, as Broke Joe would say, people know who that name is, you're telling me it's the money, Chaz. You're telling me it's the money. Well, I do think it is here, because there is actual monetary value in YouTube replays, full race replays on Flow, and replays and highlights on Facebook as well. So there is value in that. But doesn't seem like they're going after just particular highlights, probably that full race replay. And usually that full race replay that you want to find is usually on the streaming company's website to find the full race replay. We see highlights, we see, vlogs that are kind of highlighted as well. We see full race replays from the GoPro perspective. But as far as out of the car, seeing the entire full race, there are some at World of Outlaw events I think I've seen. Some people are doing it from the grandstands. But outside of that, you don't really see it that much. You have to go to dirtvision.com or flowracing.com or one of these platforms and click the full race replay or you could do the full night replay. It'll be like a 6-hour clip, or something like that, depending on how horrible they got to work the track over and over. But interesting scenario here. I didn't really plan on talking about this. I wonder if somebody in the chat is talking about this right now. Bixby Horn says, love all the Cali Dirt content. He does a great job. Maybe this is a situation where Speed Sport can bring him on. What about that? We had a guy in North Dakota with a similar issue. He lost his ability to show some of the weekly stuff. Kind of sad. And yes, I was working on a car and wanted to see some stuff I had to miss. I think that's it. You're absolutely right. Always about the money. Somebody already wants to call in. Let me call in Chaz. Cali tracks look cool, but are they majority of bull rings? Yes, we talked about that. The CA scene is dying because of a variety of reasons. I like a little track diversity size-wise. I think High Limit will be a big deal when they go over there. I think High Limit will be a big ordeal when they make it over to that side of the country. Let's get back to the Kokomo Sprint car, Chaz. I'm not talking about it. You can go to hell. We made a video about it. We're going to talk about it. We got to get into it. I think Cali Dirt videos are fantastic. I think they are too, but once again, broke Joe. So you're telling me it's about the money. Wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, that is not the only bad news we have to report today. We do have this situation, which is not a good one at all. Bob McCreadie, Barefoot Bob McCreadie, has passed away today. This was posted an hour ago on the Mohawk Valley Vintage Dirt Modified series page. It's all over the New York racing scene pages. But Barefoot Bob McCreadie, father of Tim McCreadie, passing away at the age of 74. Of course, me being from Texas, these style of modifieds dominated the Texas scene when I was a child. Of course, my father's racing age, this was the only modifieds they heard about down there. And obviously there was a dirt north and a dirt south that actually went through Texas. So these modifieds, this car, this number 9, very iconic in the big block, real modified racing scene. And it is really, I would guess, a shock to most people outside of New York. I'm sure there was some inner, understanding of this coming in soon or someday in the near future over the last few months. No, obviously it was kept very private. I didn't see anything publicly. But regardless, losing a dirt modified racing legend. For those who don't know anything about Bob McCreadie, he does have a Wikipedia. You've made it when you've made it on Wikipedia. Although I do suggest to all racers who want to promote themselves, like Caleb was talking about, I would suggest going to Wikipedia and creating your Wikipedia account, your name, all your information, all your career accomplishments, almost like if you were filling something out for My Race Pass. And if somebody ever goes and searches your name online, the first thing going to pop up is that Wikipedia. So just a thought for those, and that's why Wikipedia is technically not allowed to be sourced in like college material or any kind of actual, intellectual reports or something like that. I mean, it's not supposed to be referenced. Obviously, it's a good source, but it's all publicly edited and sourced in a way. So there is some fact checking involved. But for all you racers out there, I would go put that in. That way, if anyone ever searches your name, they come here, they find out stuff about you. But anyways, Bob McCreadie, it has already been updated on his Wikipedia. That's how quick this stuff is updated. I guess it's got some automation to it. He actually was inducted to the Lowe's Motor Speedway Walk of Fame. That's pretty impressive as well. Upon his induction in the Eastern Motorsports Hall of Fame, the Press Association expressed that Barefoot Bob McCreadie was famous for his full beard. That's what it says here, full beard. Won 56 Speedway. I guess it's meaning to say track championships. 56 speedways. He has won at 56 speedways. Okay, 56 racetracks. Captured 29 point championships and 8 series championships. McCreadie won the prestigious Super Dirt Week race in 1986. He has earned 2 Mr. Dirt Modified championships and 3 Super Dirt Car Series championships, including back-to-back in 94 and 95. So, unfortunate circumstances for the New York area up here. That does kind of suck. I mean, that is a big, big name that is gone. You know, once again, I have a little bit of a tie to these style of modifieds just because being from Texas, that used to be the dominant class down there, that and sprint car racing. Looking into the chat, looks like we had somebody join Pitchin The Hit. Yes, somebody's not doing the $1.99. Or is it the $1.99 subscription? It doesn't matter. Bixby Horn, your name will be on the list at the top right, top left of the screen for you here very soon. The answer to all your questions is money. Sorry, we're still on the Cali Dirt. If they're being... Okay, they're still talking about that. Rest in peace, Bob. He even raced in Australia. Bob loved driving barefoot. There was actually something in the Wikipedia about his nickname. Let's see if I can find it here. It's down here at the bottom. Personal life, maybe. Folklore has it that McCreadie got his this nickname Barefoot when the cockpit of his home-built Plymouth Barracuda was so tight he couldn't wedge his right foot past the transmission linkage to get it on the accelerator with his shoe on. McCreadie has said that he actually got the nickname as a teenager due to the fact that he spent a lot of his time in the summer running around bare-chested and shoeless. Sandy and Bob McCreadie have 3 children, Tim, Tina, and Jordan. Both Tim and Jordan carry on the family tradition as race car drivers. So that's where apparently that's the barefoot, were the originations of the situation there for barefoot Bob McCreadie. I did text Tim. I haven't heard anything back from him, you know, sending condolences and everything like that. So that is a important thing to actually put out there. How about these sprint cars behind me? Look at this. Look at this setup. I'm just so blown away. Sorry, got to be humble to Tim Sims here. It's a really nice background. But background, once again, I guess this week, you know, up there in New York, they are going to have the High Limit Series. High Limit Series is going to be up there starting tomorrow night on Flow. So there is a decent amount of expected entries to be on the facility. Obviously, there's a bunch of issues happening with rain across the country in multiple fashions right now. Just because it seems like rain doesn't want to go away, and I don't understand why. It does say 16 high rollers, some New York locals, and some PA posse flavor. One of the shocking ones that popped off here was Kerry Madsen in the 10K car, which I guess that isn't really a huge shocker. I don't see Paulie Giovanni, which is the driver who almost beat the Outlaws a few years ago, on the list. You see Danny Dietrich is on the list. Let's see anyone else that jumps off the screen. Mark Smith coming up from PA. Of course, you got, like I said, the typical high limiter drivers. Davey Franick going to be there. Jordan Poirier. That's. I mean, some of these guys could potentially be a threat. Jared Zinardi. There's some names you can't say here. It's just Matt Farnham. I know how to say Matt Farnham. He's going to be there, that 7NY car. But this is going to be a very interesting race. I've actually raced on this track in a Sportsman modified, kind of like a big block with a 602 engine in it. So I've actually raced on this track at Outlaw, and it was like my fifth race ever in a race car. And I'll tell you what, I had fun. I ran well in the heat race. I think I finished third. A-main, I was starting like 11th in the main event. I go into turn 1, and I'm all, fourth race into a real race car my whole entire life. I'm doing well. I come off of turn 2, and the field's in front of you, and you're kind of following the car in front of you. I come off of 2, and I see the car in front of me. I'm kind of judging where I'm going to go, and then all of a sudden, just went away. Where did everybody go? And I remember sitting there, ladies and gentlemen, heading down the back straightaway in this car in basically Desert Storm. It was like the scene from The Mummy where the sandstorm comes and like instantly goes from clarity to just You can't see nothing. And then as I'm halfway down the back straightaway, after this has occurred, this is all happening in split-second instances. After I'm halfway down the back straightaway, after everybody just disappeared around me, and I know I'm still wide open because you can't let off or you're a bitch, it hits my mind that there is like a 30, 40-foot drop-off in 3 and 4. And then I remember right before I entered turn 3, wide-ass open in the middle of a pack of cars that I can't see while trying to get a tear-off that was getting stuck on my little, post. I remember saying to myself as I dropped the car into the corner, what am I doing here? What in the hell am I doing here? I could be talking shit in the grandstands or something right now. I could be yelling at somebody who's drunk, or I'm just saying, I could be calling somebody a larcenite. And here I am in a modified, 4th race in my life, wide open, in Desert Storm, in the middle of a pack of cars with a 20, 30-foot drop in 3 and 4. And I don't even know where the drop is. I'm just going off muscle memory here at this point. So my point in saying all this is this track's a wild card. And I've heard that night when I raced, it was extremely dusty, but it does have a history of being a pretty dusty racetrack. I know this is something that does occur here regularly. There is still that kind of Salina High Banks drop-off in 3 and 4. I hope, just because there's not a wall and a chicken fence, wire fence like Riverside, I don't expect nothing bad to happen. But, I'm just saying, this Outlaw, it's a great racetrack. I still think it's a great racetrack. I enjoyed running it. It's just this point in my life I was questioning reality. What am I doing? What just happened? But that's funny. But at the same time, it's still a good little racetrack. The sprint cars will probably put on a good show, I think, there, but they're going to be ripping the lip. Everybody's worried about safety. Keep an eye out for 3 and 4. If anybody goes, be ready for the, Super Mario guy disappears again. They didn't fill camera in 3 and 4. It'll be hilarious. But that just makes me think of safety again. This Indy 500 deal that's coming up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go there and be live or anything like that. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but there's a multitude of reasons. And honestly, this goes to track safety because for some reason, everybody's just like bashing high limit. You're going to these tracks that are dangerous and they're not so safe and all the blah, blah, blah. It's like, I've been saying this from day one. First of all, if you want to get mad at Riverside for having a chicken fence in the corners, why don't we just treat Riverside like there's not a fence there because they're going like 85, 90 and flipping out of the park? Whereas there's tracks like Port Royal and Williams Grove who have open ends with no fence at all, and if something goes wrong and they fly out, they're going like twice the speed almost. And then thirdly, and maybe somebody has to get this through you people's head, and if I go to Indianapolis, I should have said the same thing. I'm not going to be there probably. I don't know. This is very confusing. There's a lot of question marks as I'm saying this, but my point that I'm trying to make is it don't matter how safe, and I said this before, it don't matter how safe racing tries to be. It don't even matter if you are NASCAR or Indianapolis and the IndyCar series, these safe, supposedly safe facilities. And most of the people were worried about cars, getting into people in the stands. That's what they were more concerned about. Drivers take on the risk, but when it comes down to, I've heard so many people tell me after Riverside, when it comes down to the fans, there needs to be priority number one. And still, in a weird way, you're never going to get to that level of security and safety. And I would reference last year's Indy 500. Did we all not forget, or did we all forget the wheel that just flew off into nothing, Neverland into turn 2, and went through the one opening of grandstands in the whole, felt like almost the entire facility. I mean, there was thousands and thousands of people there, and a tire went flying through the air and luckily went in between the one little opening of grandstands and hit a car in the parking lot. And this is at a world-class facility like Indianapolis Motor Speedway with world-class level cars. And we almost had Final Destination 11. If that wheel peels through, or that tire, that whole combination of things peels through the grandstands. And that's on their level. So back to safety and a little drop-off at turn 3 and 4 and this, that, and the other. I'm just saying, guys, if everybody wants to live forever, I don't know who told you, but you're not going to. And if you don't live more and better today, sooner or later you're going to wake up and be like, where did my life go? You're going to wait for somebody to sit down in a room and tell you that your life is finite? I mean, come on, this is just typical thing. I just had to point that out because I wanted to wait till Indianapolis, but I just can't. I just can't. I just don't know how people live in these pillow worlds that don't necessarily exist. Just don't understand. I just don't understand it. Is there anyone in here? Is there anyone in here? Do we attack the subject? I know everybody's in here for the monkey in the room. Chaz, thank you for making the LGBTQ community proud. You are one of us. Okay. That went next level there, ladies and gentlemen. That's hilarious. Respect that you speak your mind. Even if I disagree sometimes, I respect people who say what they think. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you very much. Cody Terry said, if they're being that straight. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Why is Port Royal the biggest race to date upcoming? Well, it's the first year of the first big race of the season, I believe. Well, I guess you would consider Lakeside the biggest race to date, right? 50,000 at Lakeside was pretty big. Callum will be the driver to be at the high limit race. I don't believe high limit or Callum is going up there. I believe they are staying local. There's high probabilities for rain chances. Somebody said, Chaz, why were you upset with Tyler Courtney? Because he won. Okay, for those who have Twitter, go to Twitter, look up a guy named Johnny Wingo, and then look at JJ Yaley's comment on Twitter. And y'all can go find that out, but I'm not reading it here. So go to Twitter after you turn the Chaz off, or if you want to do it now, maybe I'll lose viewers, but go to Johnny Wingo on Twitter and find out the rest. Actually, a really good follow for the extremism. I did want to highlight somebody who did jump on board this week. Just small, not a big jump, but a little jump. But I really like what they're doing. This is this Dirt Crowd. I never even heard about it. They're like, we're Dirt Crowd, and apparently this is like a crowdsourcing thing. And local drivers, people like that, little teams out there, regional teams, whoever you are, I would definitely tune over to this dirtcrowd.com. I know you might have seen the logo at the top right of the screen. Or I guess it would be top left for y'all guys out there. But if you look into this Dirt Crowd, there's still some stuff they got to figure out on dirtcrowd.com, but I'm sure you can contact people and figure out the rest. This is basically how fans can support their favorite drivers locally. And it's actually like lined up. You see some drivers are actually connected to this already. Rico Abreu don't need $1 of your funding. This, I don't even know why he's on here. Maybe to promote it. All right. Maybe he's out there spreading the word. But even McIntosh, these people don't need it. Where's the local guys? Where's the local guys? I just oh God, I saw Courtney on the list. All right, we're pulling the sponsorship, guys. Oh, it's Taylor Courtney. Taylor Courtney's the good one. Taylor Courtney is the good one. My bad. And a little more local. You got Kyle Jones on here. And more drivers you can go sign up, not just, national, but local, regional. So go check this out. It's called dirtcrowd.com. And when you go on here and directly support somebody, hey, look who just joined it. Look at this, actually. Wow. Danny Sams. So we had Danny Sams on the show. If you want to support Danny Sams, I mean, you got 3 different levels here. And it is monthly payments to Danny Sams. So say you want to be involved with Danny Sam's racing career here on dirtcrowd.com, you go $24 a month. You could be on here. You get let's see what, for just $20 a month, you'll get access to exclusive videos and a piece of merchandise once a month. So $24 a month, guys. This is called the crew member level for Danny Sams. For $24 a month, you get merchandise. And you get to be a part of Danny Sam's racing career through this dirtcrowd.com. Now, I do suggest other local drivers, if you're trying to crowdsource stuff like that, that's a very big deal. Let's see what the gold level gets you. Maybe they ain't filled this all the way out. The only way to get on top of it all, oh, look at that. For $150 a month. Of course, this is Danny Sams, guys. He's up there almost about to whoop World of Outlaws ass. Gold crew members get access to exclusive videos, exclusive member-only shirts. Wow, the only way to get one is to be a gold member. So, gold member shirt only. On top of it all, your name will be put on the race car wing with other gold members. So this is why I like this. This is supporting the regular guy. Like I said, we saw the Ricos earlier and all these people, Taylor Courtney's and all that. Honestly, they don't need it. But Danny Sams is of the world, trying to come up 22 years old, whoop Carson Hocevar and all the rich NASCAR people in quarter midgets, just didn't have the millions and billions to go over there. He's down here doing what he can at 22. This is the perfect way to support those style of drivers. And if you're a local racer, I would come into this and try to see if you can get your name added onto this, because it's a real good system how they got this set up for drivers of every form. It looks like there's a bunch of sprint cars here, but I'm assuming it don't matter what you drive. You can get associated with this dirt crowd situation. So I really like what they're doing here. I would go check it out. Maybe you see your favorite driver who needs the help. Obviously, Frank Flood, he's got too much. Logan CV, no, sorry. Jack Dover, go support Jack Dover, although he races like once a year. That better be going, Jack. That money better be going to Tim Estenson. It at least better pay the diesel fuel. That's what I'm saying. Let's see what the comments say to that. That's what I'm talking about. I would be interested in the Chaz if he was a bit more fit and didn't smoke so much. I can't kiss a man who smokes. Well, I mean, I get you. Johnny Wingo, May 14th. Let's interview Michael Kofoid and Tyler Courtney about, at the same time, we can ask about Sonny stealing Buddy's old lady and see how it goes. I didn't say that. You know, first comes sunshine, then comes sunset. I feel like that nickname is going around the block. I feel like I've been calling too many people sunset. I swear, too many people are becoming a sunset. As far as smoke, it's vape right now. You know, it tastes like grape. So that's all it would taste like. Anyways. Chaz, I see Lane Racing is ready to go this weekend after taking a bad one at Kokomo Monday night. That is very cool. I do like seeing Lane Racing bounce back. They had a run. I've never seen a car fly that far from turn 4 to the damn flag stand. That was insane. Oh God, y'all are going deep. But hold on, y'all want to talk about sleazebag? Hold on. We're going to talk about some sleaze bags. Let me tell you something. I tried to avoid this. We're just going to have to put it out there, man. I just can't. I have to explain some things. Hold on. So this is my video page to my channel. All the videos, 1.1 thousand videos. I typed in Kenny Wallace's name here. And it looks like out of my 1.1 thousand videos, Kenny Wallace's name is titled 5 times, or involved in the title 5 times. Let's see what these were. I don't even know. Civil disagreement on the pro level of NASCAR. I think he was talking about being the NFL, and I was disagreeing for sure. De-bullshitting this. This video in particular was about when Kenny Wallace was saying NASCAR is the only place you can make money racing. And I was de-bullshitting that. This video basically spurred about a month's worth of content for Kenny Wallace, by the way. If you remember, there was that point last year where dirt racers came on to Kenny Wallace to talk about how much money dirt racers are making. That's how this whole conversation last year kind of started. When he made that statement, I made this response video that did very well on its own, because I was talking about the truth, and then it spurred off to like 4 or 5 videos for him. And then what is this? One guy left. What's this? Kenny Wallace on that was F1. This is just Tarleton Macedo. This was sometime last year. And then of course, here recently in one of our lives, these are the only ones titled that were using his name at all. Any other time he got brought up, similar to this video right now, he's being brought up, but it's not advertised. It's not titled that way. There are some videos like that. I think the other time he came up, because they released a clip about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Kenny Wallace and Michael Rigsby, and it was talking about money over talent in the NF or in NASCAR, and they were talking about NFL and all the stuff that I've been talking about all this time. And Michael Rigsby referenced me in that video about talking about dirt racers getting just as much as respect, because that's why I get so apparently mean and mad and upset. Is because the only time our racers get paid respect nationally, the only time our racers get recognition that they deserve, they don't get it. They only get paid respects when they pass away or get killed in a race car. Then the world notices them. Then the world pays them their respect. They don't pay them their respect on a weekly basis. No, they don't even exist unless you go out there and take your last corner. So that may inhibit me sometimes to get very, very, very upset when I see players that are just as good as your boys over there that get shoved down the American public as so much better and great than everyone else that's out there, and then our boys out here have to get killed in these dirt cars that amateurs race in, I guess. And so when those type of notions are pushed to the public, I get very upset about them. You know, so regardless, in that Money Over Talent video, Kenny Wallace referenced a point that he thinks dirt fans, and he said this multiple times in different varianted ways, he thinks that dirt fans tuned out from NASCAR racing when they started raising ticket prices and doing 3-day ticket packages and outpriced the dirt fan. Regardless, that video, that full video of him and Michael Rigsby, it's blacked out right now. I don't want him to get too excited. The full interview came out, and after that sub clip that they released several weeks ago, or a week or so ago, this was released a day ago. The full interview comes out, and after that, Kenny goes on to say, kind of really smear campaign on the Chaz, basically. Says that I mean, which I just explained to you why I could get very upset and frustrated and why I'm talking about. Says that I told him privately that I have to go after him and get mad at him for views. That's what he said. And then he also said that a guy named Kyle Steffens sat me down and tried to tell me how it works and how he helps Kyle, and you just got to kind of be nice, I guess is kind of what he was saying, and just don't get so riled up or put this out or point this out or all the stuff that I kind of talk about here when you try to work with these big entities. They want you to trade that mouth for that money. They want you to trade that mouth for that money all day long. We see this on the national broadcasted syndicates all the time. We see it for sure in a lot of situations of today. So basically, after he said this, I came down here and commented. I'm trying to be very respectful here. I came down here and said the facts. Said my channel has 1.1K videos made. Your name is listed in 5 of them. We just showed you facts, ladies and gentlemen. All of them responding to your comments on a topic that I view can be detrimental to the sport of dirt track racing. Telling the truth can come with a level of disrespect. This is normal in the normal world. Not in racing, because it's anything but a meritocracy, which is what they were talking about. We live in a weird, racing world is like a weird monarchy. I was going to say dictatorship, but monarchy. You know, it's like families and generations and lords and shit. It's crazy. And then it's all sponsorship money, which big corporations and sponsors are mostly ran or owned at the very, very top level by a lineage of families. Like Ferrari is a family, you know, Macy's is a family. I mean, we could talk about all the families and all that stuff, but that's a whole nother conversation. But regardless, I said telling the truth comes with a certain level of disrespect sometimes. Sometimes it happens, especially when I feel disrespected, that the world doesn't even pay respects to our drivers unless they pass away. Happens all the time. I said, and especially, you know, I'm going to be a little disrespectful when I think that your comments are detrimental to the sport of dirt track racing, and I put in parentheses here, similar to the Money Over Talent clip, which I just explained to y'all, in which you referenced dirt fans being upset at NASCAR because it started to charge too much to get in. 3-day weekends. He said this many of times. And this is funny right here. This is a good point I thought about while I was writing this out. I said, it is funny, or I put funny. NASCAR is on TV for free. Basically, we can go anywhere and watch it. And dirt fans tune out of it and would rather pay $150 to Flow and $350 to Dirt Vision to watch dirt instead. Basically, money isn't the issue, it's the product. Additionally, I do not care to sell my mouth shut, and I'm very proud of that. Told them before and will tell them again. Take your money, pit passes, gas money, hotel, and narrative and shove it up your People being paid off and or supplemented to turn a blind eye to things is the root of all of our problems in modern society. It isn't money that's the problem. It's the choices being made by the influences of it. To add, I hope you never critique those in politics who have sold our country out by doing similar things that you are advocating for. It's very interesting. Hypocrisy runs the world. In politics, it's just simply for more money and gigantic corporations flipping the bill in exchange for ignoration. I put in parentheses to make the point, since he called me mean, be nice and eat out of my hand, or be on trackside. In closing, Kyle Steffens never sat me down and had a talk. Maybe he thought he did, but obviously it went one ear and out the other. And I never said I talked bad about you to boost my numbers. If that was the case, I would have done it more than 0.5% of my content, which is the percentage of 5 to 1.1K. Geez, and you mentioned the word respect. It's so funny. And just for additional references, let me make sure that none of this is actually shown publicly. I like Kenny Wallace. At one point, I wanted to work with him. I have reference to him through text message. We've had conversations, and I didn't know it was to this degree. We've had conversations, or I've proposed ideas of doing some kind of ESPN First Take videos with Kenny Wallace and having debates on different topics, because I think he's a good speaker and doesn't mind voicing his opinion on a camera, which a lot of people are very scared to do. I think he wasn't necessarily under the umbrella as much as he is now, so maybe that tune has changed on the possibilities of that being, obtainable. But I guess that, how does that equate to I have to talk bad about you to anybody who watches my video sees the authenticity in what I'm saying. When I get mad or get, as smart people say, passionate, not mean, about these topics, you can't really fake that shit. Okay? Can't fake passion. You can fake being nice, though. A lot of people do it. So anyway, I went back to this guy who sat me down and told me what to do, Kyle Steffens. And the last time I had talked to Kyle Steffens was December in 2023, when he was being apparently death threatened by other race car fans at the Dome. Cared about him then. Still do. I don't know if Kyle and I think maybe Kenny was just talking. We talked back and forth about the Dome and this and all this stuff. And prior to that, it wasn't till March of 2023 was the last time I talked. I think July 4th, 2023 was my last text saying happy 4th of July to Kyle Steffens. 2022, I was talking about potentially running a modified at the Gateway Dome with Kyle Steffens. And the only references I could see here to Kenny Wallace was when we exchanged numbers, when he asked Kenny if we could talk. This was in, when was this? I can't even find a date. April of 2022. And let's see here. I was even being extremely nice. Look at this. Since I want to go after him so bad, that's been my hidden motive this entire time. Look at this message that I sent. Heck, if he needs help around his shop or something like that, I'm down to do that. Just would like to work with him, then against him. This is about Kenny Wallace. This is, if there's some hidden motive here to do something for stupid ratings, why would I be saying in private conversation that if he needs help around the shop or something, because I believe they were low on staff, somebody told me that he does it all himself. I'd like for us to have a few hours of availability to talk prior to videoing anything, just so we could talk, and that way he doesn't feel bombarded or attacked. Look how sympathetic I was being in these messages. Although these messages of fact, not these random things just flowing out of his mouth on his channel. These facts here that are on pieces of paper, on text messages. You can't falsify this evidence here. This is evidence. This is evidence. You can't falsify these. You could talk like I have a motive. You could try to smear campaign me. But the evidence supports otherwise. Never had any motives to go after Kenny or be mean to Kenny at all. But when all of my stuff, back to reaction, I'm reacting to him. When he goes out there and says something that I believe is detrimental to the respect of our sport, I'm going to get a little disrespectful, a little mad, a little upset about it. And in the professional world, the debate world, that's normal. That's a normal way to interact with somebody you disagree with. You have your view, I have mine. Let's talk about it. Let's put it on camera together. That was my idea. And obviously it was, at least previously for sure, I didn't want him to feel bombarded or attacked, and I would like to work with him, then against. But my motive is to apparently go after him because I need to boost views, even though I only did that, I guess, with his name for 5 of those videos. That is a very interesting situation. Now, good people do need to be mean. I released the video today, and you may want to go see it, maybe not. It's mercy. This is a little clip that I put in there. Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. I think that good people need to start being a little mean, at least a little passionate. I think that's the difference. You can kind of tell when a person who is passionate about something, they're good. You could tell somebody who's an asshole about something, they're being mean. So good people being mean needs to happen a lot more. First comes sunshine, then comes sunset. If you go watch this video on the Chaz, it is not racing material. This is talking about all kinds of things within society, all different social interactions, constructs. I think there's even some weed explanation in there. It's actually funny in that aspect. History. This is the situation here. History and how things actually operate. The problem, I think, in today's society is good people are being quiet because they're nice. And bad people are running this sumbitch and doing all the talking because they're mean. Good people need to start being a little bit more mean. And mean is a shaming, derogatory word. So I'll call it passionate, and the bad people will try to shame and guilt you and call you mean. Make you feel bad, make you be quiet, good person. Get in line, form, agree with the construct that we have built, the ideology. I want to introduce a word to the dirt track racing world. I talk about manipulations and, why does our sport get pushed down? Why is this happening? Who's in control? Why does this mainstream not pay any respect? Why not? I want y'all to be introduced to what a gatekeeper is, all right? This is why I won't ever take their fucking money. Let me show y'all what a gatekeeper is. The gatekeeping theory. This theory focuses on how information is filtered before it reaches the public. Gatekeepers, such as editors, news directors, or other decision makers, determine which stories are presented and how they are conveyed. They play a crucial role in shaping what the public knows about. I think dirt racing falls in that category. And who's somebody so much better than everyone else? The process occurs across various media channels, including newspapers, radio, television, websites, and podcasts. And I think we can formally introduce YouTube to that list, and TikTok and all these social constructs and everything like that. So gatekeeping is a very nice way to say, I have information. I know this is true. I know this is fact, but maybe somebody sponsored this. Maybe somebody gave me money here. Somebody like, I know that guy, so I don't want to get him in trouble. I don't want to be mean. So I'm not going to say that. I'm sure the person who whistleblowed the Epstein situation, they were definitely mean to him, weren't they? That was mean to say that. Why would you expose such an island? Why? So mean. So mean. Just saying that's an extreme example, obviously. But is it good? Everybody has nice and mean is obviously a part of the perspective. I sit here and say the stuff I do about I call myself pro dirt. I say those things, and those are viewed as great. Finally, somebody said it to those who are not being voiced for. And then to those who it's against, I'm sure I'm mean. I'm an asshole. Similar to the Kyle Busch situation. There's kids over here crying, why ain't I getting a provisional? And why is he? And then I come out there and say on Facebook to all these people, 80,000 people in 15 minutes, look what's going on here. This is bullshit. This kid is this one kid's getting privileged over all of them. This isn't right, guys. If you're a fan of the monarchy nepotism of that situation of getting a provisional, I mean. If you're a fan or feel guilt or feel bad, or back to the title of that video. If you're showing no mercy to the innocent, I'm just saying, if you feel bad, if you feel worried for that ill righteousness, that zero a meritocracy-based situation, I'm doing something right. I'm doing something, it's called brave, to stand up to that shit in that building. That's why I got kicked out. I wasn't scared. But one side sees me as mean, and why would you say that about a kid? And provisionals are given out all the time. I'm mean. That perspective, I'm mean. Standing up for the little kids, those parents, those people, they don't see it that way. I'm not being mean to them. But we get to identify who's on which side of the fence very easily when they get to talking. That's why we got names for them. So when y'all hear this, it's very interesting. Now, if you want to go into U.S. politics, the I don't know what this is. I just, deep state conspiracy theory. While not directly related to gatekeeping, the deep state conspiracy theory suggests that unelected officials secretly manipulate government decisions. It's widely believed in the U.S. through evidence supporting its remains, or even though evidence supporting it remains contentious. So that's talking about like BlackRock and State Street, stuff like that. You know, intelligence or insurance companies or anything like that. I guess that's what that would be.